Picture this. 5:15 in the morning. You just ran 4 miles in the dark, legs burning, shirt soaked, that good kind of empty in your chest. You come through the back door, grab a glass of water, and there she is. Your wife, sitting at the kitchen counter, phone in both hands, smiling at something on the screen. Not a polite smile. The real one. The one you haven't seen aimed at you in months. You lean in. Just a kiss on the cheek. Nothing dramatic, just good morning. She pulls back without looking up. Doesn't flinch, doesn't jump. Just shifts her shoulder like you're a stranger on a bus who got too close. Your constant need to touch me is exhausting, she says. Still scrolling. Not everything is about you, Larry. You see the name on her screen. Wade Russell. She doesn't even flip the phone over. That was my kitchen. My wife. My Tuesday morning in Tallahassee, Florida. My name is Larry Hayes. I'd been running at 5 a.m. for 3 months by then. Not because I love running, because I couldn't stand lying next to someone who slept like nothing was wrong. Monica and I had been married 8 years. I'm a licensed electrician, just made site foreman at the biggest firm in Leon County. She sells high-end real estate. Somewhere in the last year, her new office crowd became her real life, and I became the part she tolerated. There was a time, maybe 2 years back, when she'd wait up for me after a late job. Cold beer on the counter, her feet tucked under her on the couch. She'd ask about the wiring, the crew, the dumb thing someone said at lunch. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the whole thing. Just this. That morning with the phone, I stood there with water dripping down my face and watched her text someone named Wade without a shred of hesitation. She looked up once. Can you not stand over me? It's weird. I dried my face with a kitchen towel and walked to the shower. Didn't say a word. Here's the thing about me, and I need you to understand this before the rest of the story makes sense. I'm not the kind of man who falls apart. I don't yell. I don't beg. I endured what I endured out of loyalty, not weakness. Every time I stayed quiet, it wasn't because I couldn't speak. It was because I thought the marriage was worth more than the argument. But there's a line between loyalty and stupidity, and that morning, standing in the shower with the water too hot, I felt it under my feet. The previous weekend, I'd spent all of Saturday and Sunday with Monica. We watched a movie, grilled steaks, sat on the porch while the sun went down. I thought it was a good weekend. Monday morning, she was ice cold. You haven't brought me flowers in 3 months, Larry. I was with you all weekend. We had a great time. That's not the same thing, she said, not looking at me. If I have to explain what romance looks like to a 42-year-old man, we have bigger problems. I stood there holding my coffee. 2 days together, laughing, cooking, being in the same room, and none of it counted because there wasn't a bouquet on the table. I was right here, Monica, the whole time. Being here isn't enough. It's never been enough. I set my coffee down, walked to the garage, sat on the tool bench for 10 minutes. Not angry, just trying to understand the math. Because in her equation, 2 full days of my presence equaled 0. But a $10 bouquet from a gas station, that would have counted. That's when I first realized. She wasn't measuring love. She was measuring performance. And I was failing a test I didn't know I was taking. Stay with me here. Thursday evening. I come home from work, boots still dusty. Monica's on the phone with Shelby Perry, her coworker, recently divorced, the one who talks about living your truth like it's a professional qualification. Speakerphone. I'm in the hallway, unlacing my boots. Wade actually listens, Monica says. Larry just fixes things and thinks that counts. Like, congratulations, the dishwasher works. Where's the emotional connection? Shelby laughs. Girl, you deserve someone who sees you. Wade sees me. He really does. I set my boots by the door, walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, took out a beer. Monica looked up from her phone, startled. She didn't know I was home. How long have you been standing there? Long enough. It's a private conversation, Larry. On speakerphone. In the house we share. She rolled her eyes. You're making this into something it's not. What is it then? Venting. Women vent. It doesn't mean anything. It sounded like it meant something to Wade. Her face changed, just a flash of something sharp behind her eyes. Don't start. I took my beer to the back porch. The sun was setting behind the live oaks. That golden hour light Florida does better than anywhere. I sat on the top step and drank it slow. Somewhere inside, Shelby was still talking. I couldn't hear the words anymore. Just the sound of someone confirming everything my wife already wanted to believe. That night, something was different. Monica came to bed in something I hadn't seen before, something she didn't buy for me. And there was a confidence in her that felt borrowed, like she'd learned new habits from a different classroom. I lay there in the dark afterward, staring at the ceiling fan going around, and I didn't say a word. But I wondered, where does someone learn to move like that when they've been pulling away from their own husband for 6 months? 2 weeks later, Monica suggested couples therapy. I agreed. I thought, okay, maybe I'm wrong about all of it. Maybe the phone thing was nothing. Maybe Shelby's influence is harmless. Maybe I'm the one who's been distant, and a professional can show me. Our therapist was Rebecca Phillips. Nice office, soft lighting, box of tissues on every surface. First session, Monica said I was emotionally unavailable, that I'd retreated into my work, that she felt invisible in our marriage. Rebecca nodded, wrote something down, turned to me. Larry, what do you hear Monica saying? I hear her, I said, but she hasn't initiated affection in 6 months. Not a hug, not a kiss, not a hand on my shoulder. I'm not emotionally unavailable. I'm responding to someone who keeps pulling away. Rebecca tilted her head. Let's focus on what you can control, Larry. I can control whether I sit here and listen to one side of the story get validated session after session. That's a defensive response. Can you try to hear? I heard her. Did you hear me? Silence. Monica crossed her arms. Rebecca made another note. The session ended with homework for me. Journal my feelings. Practice active listening. Monica got no homework. Driving home, Monica said, see? Even the therapist thinks you need to work on yourself. The therapist didn't challenge a single thing you said. Because I wasn't the problem in there, Larry. I gripped the steering wheel, loosened my hands, took a breath. Okay, Monica. That was the last full sentence I said to her that night. After the second session, same pattern, same one-sided notes, same homework for me while Monica sat there like a plaintiff who'd already won. I stopped going. Didn't announce it. Didn't make a speech. Just didn't show up on Thursday. Monica went alone. Came back energized, like she'd scored a point in a game I didn't know we were playing. Rebecca says your refusal to participate is a form of emotional withholding. Rebecca can say whatever she wants. You don't even care, do you? I care about fixing this. I don't care about performing for an audience that already picked a side. She stared at me. For a second, just a flash, something crossed her face. Not anger. Something rawer. Fear, maybe. Or the flicker of a woman who knows she's lost the one person who kept showing up no matter what. Then it was gone. You're impossible, she said, and went upstairs. I started running earlier after that. For 30, then 4. The neighborhood was dead at that hour, just me, the streetlights, and the sound of my own breathing. Monica woke up to an empty bed every morning and never once asked where I'd been. That told me everything therapy couldn't. The next week, I came home on a Wednesday and noticed something on Monica's right hand. A ring. Not her wedding ring. That was still on her left. This was new. Thin gold band, small stone, sitting on her ring finger like it belonged there. I'd never seen it before. New ring. She glanced at her hand like she'd forgotten it was there. A friend gave it to me. Which friend? Does it matter? You're wearing another man's ring in our house, Monica. Yeah, it matters. It's not another man's ring. It's jewelry. Women buy jewelry, Larry. Women also receive jewelry. She took it off, put it in her pocket, didn't say another word that night. But the next morning, it was back on her hand. Friday night, 2 weeks later. Monica's firm had a mixer, clients, agents, open bar at a rooftop place downtown. She asked me to come, so I went. Wore a clean shirt, shaved, showed up. Wade Russell was there. Tall, expensive watch, the kind of tan you get from owning a boat you actually use. He sold commercial properties through Monica's firm, her colleague, technically. I watched them from across the room. He put his hand on her lower back, right at the curve of her spine. She didn't flinch, didn't step away, leaned into it, actually, like his hand had been there 100 times before. She saw me looking, caught my eye across 10 feet of cocktail chatter. And she shrugged. Not apologetic, not defiant. Just so what? I finished my drink, set it on a table, left without saying goodbye. Saturday night. I'm lying in bed reading, and Monica comes out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, phone in hand, laughing at a text. She sees me watching, and the laugh dies. What? Nothing. You're always watching me, Larry. It's suffocating. I looked at you. In our bedroom. That's suffocating? Your constant monitoring. Yes. You told Rebecca I was emotionally unavailable. Now I'm monitoring you too much. Which one is it? She opened her mouth, closed it, and I watched her eyes flicker, the quick calculation of someone choosing between two stories and realizing they contradict each other. She picked the towel up off the floor and walked to the closet without answering. Sunday morning. Here's where it gets complicated. Because Monica made pancakes. Set the table with the good plates. Poured orange juice. Real napkins, the linen ones from the back of the drawer. When I came downstairs, she smiled at me. Soft, almost shy. Like the first year. I thought we could have breakfast together. Like we used to. I sat down. She'd made them the way I like. Thin, crispy edges, a little butter between each one. These are good, I said. I know you've been stressed, she said, touching my hand across the table. Her fingers were warm. I haven't been fair to you. I know that. I've been so caught up in work, in my own head, and I forgot what matters. Her eyes were wet. Not crying, just right at the edge. And I'll be honest with you, something inside me cracked. Because this was the Monica I married. The one who noticed. The one who tried. The one whose hand on mine used to feel like the safest place in the world. I wanted to believe it so badly my chest ached. Thank you, I said. I mean that. She squeezed my hand. We're going to be okay, Larry. I believed her. God help me, I believed her. Monday afternoon. She came home late. Different perfume, something I'd never smelled before. Sweet, heavy, nothing like what she keeps on the bathroom shelf. Where were you? Setting a boundary means I don't owe you a report on every hour, she said, dropping her bag on the counter. We talked about this in therapy. We haven't been to therapy in 3 weeks. The principles still apply. Whose principles? Rebecca's or Shelby's? She turned around. Cold. The Sunday woman was gone, evaporated like she'd never existed. I'm not doing this with you tonight. The pancakes were 24 hours ago. The soft eyes, the warm hand. We're going to be okay, Larry, 24 hours. One day. And now, boundary. Report. Principles. Like she'd rehearsed the sweetness, delivered it on schedule, and moved on. You know what's worse than someone being cruel to you? Someone being kind to you as a tactic. Because cruelty you can see coming. Kindness you want to believe in. And when you realize the kindness was calculated, that the pancakes and the linen napkins and the wet eyes were all part of a performance, you don't just feel hurt. You feel stupid. And that's harder to forgive. That's when something shifted in me. Not broke, shifted. Like a foundation settling. I'd been holding the door open for 8 years, waiting for her to walk through it with me. I didn't slam it. I just stopped holding it. Wednesday. My brother Randy called from across town. Hey, don't shoot the messenger. I was at Luciano's last night with Jade Stone. Saw Monica. She wasn't alone. Let me guess. Tall guy, expensive watch. Long pause. You know about this? They were holding hands, weren't they? Fingers laced, Larry. Like teenagers. Laughing. This wasn't a work dinner. I know. How long have you known? Long enough. So what are you going to do? I already started. Thursday morning. Karen Davis. Family lawyer, small office off Appalachia Parkway. Came recommended by a guy on my crew. Picture of her kid on the desk. Law books on the shelves. No frills. The house is in your name? She asked, pen ready. Bought it 3 years before the marriage. My money, my signature, my name on every document. Joint accounts. 2. I'll close them this week. She doesn't know you're here. No. Karen looked at me over her glasses. Good. Let's keep it that way until we're ready. I nodded. She pulled out a yellow pad and started writing. 20 minutes later, we had a plan. Not revenge, protection. There's a difference, and I needed it to stay that difference. After Karen's office, I drove to the barber shop on 5th Street. Neil Adams has been cutting hair there for 30 years. Same chair, same clippers, same talk radio playing low. I sat down in the waiting chair. No appointment. No reason. Neil looked at me. You need a cut? No. You need to sit? Yeah. He nodded. Went back to his customer. Didn't ask why. The clippers buzzed. The radio played something about a MotoGP race overseas. Somebody crashed on the 3rd lap. I sat there for 45 minutes, and nobody asked me a single question. Sometimes that's all a man needs. A chair where nobody expects him to explain himself. 2 weeks passed. Karen had the filing ready. Joint credit cards canceled. The house, my house, documented 6 ways to Sunday. I wasn't building a trap. I was just making sure that when I moved, there was nothing left to trip over. When I acted, it would be permanent. That's who I am. Monica noticed something was different. Not the details, She didn't know about Karen or the credit cards. But the energy in the house had changed. She'd come into a room and I'd leave, not angrily, just naturally. She'd start talking about her day and I'd nod, say okay, and go back to whatever I was doing. She'd reach for my hand on the couch and I wouldn't pull away. I just wouldn't close my fingers around hers. "You're being weird," she said one night, standing in the kitchen doorway. "I'm being honest. You're different. Distant. I'm right here, Monica. Same house, same room. Isn't that what you wanted?" She stared at me for a long time, searching my face for something to argue with. I could see her looking for the old Larry, the one who'd apologize first no matter what, who'd cross the room and close the gap, who'd carry the emotional weight of the marriage on his back, because she told him that's what men do. He wasn't there. "What happened to you?" she whispered. "I listened to you. You said my touch was exhausting." I stopped. She opened her mouth, closed it, left the room, and for the first time, I heard her crying on the other side of the bedroom door. Quiet. Real. The kind of crying that happens when you realize the thing you took for granted has stopped waiting for you. I almost got up, almost crossed the hallway, almost knocked. But I remembered the pancakes, and how 24 hours later, she came home smelling like someone else and called it a boundary. I stayed in my chair. Friday. Monica mentioned the Kentucky Derby watch party her firm was hosting the next day. Big event, top clients, her boss, the whole office. Hats, bourbon, big screens. "It's employees only," she said, not looking at me. "I'll be back late." Sure. That evening, Tom Patterson called. Tom does electrical work for event venues all over Tallahassee. He was wiring the sound system for the Derby party. "Hey, Larry, you coming tomorrow?" Monica said it's employees only. Tom went quiet. I could hear him breathing on the other end. "Brother, I'm looking at the invite right now. Plus ones are welcome. Half the office is bringing their husbands and wives." "Is that right?" "Larry, she's bringing someone else. I've seen the seating arrangement. His name's on the card next to hers." "I know, Tom." "You know? Then what are you?" "Thanks, Tom. I appreciate you telling me." I hung up, sat at the kitchen table in the dark. The Kentucky Derby, hats and pastels and mint juleps, and my wife sitting next to another man, his name printed on a card next to hers, while I sat home watching TV because she told me I wasn't invited. I thought about the pancakes, the wet eyes, the hand squeeze. "We're going to be okay, Larry." Every sweet word she'd said, a coat of paint over rot. And the rot went all the way through. Here's what she didn't know. I'd known about Wade for weeks. I wasn't stewing. I wasn't paralyzed. Karen Davis had the filing ready and waiting. The joint credit cards were already canceled. She just hadn't tried to use them yet. The house was in my name, always had been. I wasn't waiting for proof. I wasn't waiting for courage. I was choosing the moment. And she handed it to me on a silver platter with a fascinator on top. Saturday afternoon. The Kentucky Derby party was at a venue off Monroe Street. Big windows, high ceilings, the kind of place where Tallahassee's money comes to see and be seen. I drove there in my truck, parked in the back lot. Walked in through the side entrance. The place was packed. Big hats, seersucker suits, bourbon stations with hand-carved ice. A massive screen showed the pre-race coverage, commentators breaking down the Kentucky Derby field, talking favorites and long shots, the camera panning across Churchill Downs. The whole room smelled like mint and old money. I spotted her in the middle of the room. Monica in a yellow dress, a fascinator pinned to her dark hair, champagne glass in hand, laughing at something Wade Russell was saying. His arm was around her waist, comfortable, practiced, proprietary. Like they'd been doing this for months and stopped caring who noticed. Her boss was 3 tables away. Shelby Perry was next to them, grinning. 20, 30 guests, all dressed to the nines, all watching the races and each other. Monica caught my eye from across the room. Her champagne glass stopped halfway to her mouth. Her face went white. I didn't yell, didn't make a scene. I walked straight through the crowd, people parting, conversations dying mid-sentence, heads turning. I stopped in front of Monica and Wade. The table between us had bourbon glasses and a centerpiece of red roses. I pulled off my wedding ring, the one I'd worn for 8 years, through every early morning, every late job, every silent apology, and set it on the white tablecloth between their drinks. "You said employees only." I looked at Wade. "Funny, you don't work here either." Monica's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Wade took his arm off her waist. First smart thing he'd done all day. "She's yours," I told him. Enjoy the mortgage she doesn't pay. Larry, Monica grabbed my arm, fingers digging in. Larry, we can talk about this. Please. Not here. You picked here, Monica. You picked the audience. You picked the dress, the seating chart, the man. I'm just showing up. You don't understand what this. I understand perfectly. You told me my touch was exhausting. You told Shelby that Wade actually listens. You told Rebecca I was the problem. You told me this party was employees only while you printed his name on a place card. I looked down at her hand on my arm. You can let go now. She didn't. Her fingers tightened. Shelby had stopped smiling. Monica's boss was watching from across the room with a glass halfway to his lips. Please, Monica said, and her voice dropped to something I barely recognized. Small, stripped, raw. Please don't do this to us. There is no us, Monica. There hasn't been for months. You just needed me to keep standing here so you didn't have to feel guilty about leaving. That's not. I was ready to apologize first every single time. Not because I was wrong, because you told me that's what men do. But you weren't asking me to be a man. You were making sure you never had to say sorry. She went still. Completely still. The room was quiet. You could hear the TV announcer calling odds in the background, the ice settling in someone's glass. I pulled my arm free. The ring sat on the white tablecloth, catching the light from the chandelier. Nobody touched it. I walked out through the front door. The sun was low, golden, warm on my face. Behind me, someone inside cheered. A horse crossed a finish line on the big screen. The sound faded as the door swung shut. Monday morning. Monica called the bank. Joint accounts closed. Called a lawyer. Learned Karen Davis had already filed on my behalf 4 days ago. Called the house. I'd changed the locks over the weekend. Called the barber shop on 5th. Neil Adams looked at her through the glass and shook his head. She sat in her car outside the shop for 20 minutes. Neil told me later. She just sat there, engine running, staring at the door. She texted me that night. You planned this. All of it. I typed back. You said setting a boundary means you don't owe anyone a report. I'm setting mine. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. No response. Wednesday. She showed up at my job site. Hard hat zone. Dust and noise everywhere. My crew stopped working one by one when they saw her, heels sinking into gravel, mascara smudged, that yellow dress from Saturday wrinkled like she'd been sleeping in her car. 8 years, Larry. You're throwing away 8 years. No, Monica. You threw them away. I'm just done picking them up. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. You made a choice. Every morning, you texted Wade with that smile I used to think was mine. Every session you let Rebecca build your case while I sat there doing homework. Every time Shelby told you to live your truth, and you nodded along like it was scripture. Those weren't mistakes. Those were decisions. And you made them with the ring I gave you still on your finger. Her chin trembled. I love you, Larry. You love what I did for you. The house I built. The bills I paid. The apologies I made first. That's not love, Monica. That's a service. She tried every door. Tears. Anger. Soft words. That raw, scared look that used to send me running across any room to hold her. None of them opened. What do I do now? She whispered. I don't know. That's not my problem to solve anymore. She left. One of my guys handed me a water bottle. You okay, boss? Getting there. Laundromat on a side street off Gaines. Thursday night. I sat watching clothes tumble in the dryer. Round and round. The same cycle. Missed the end twice. The fluorescent lights buzzed and flickered. Someone left a newspaper on the plastic chair next to me. A headline about flooding in Hawaii. Thousands of people evacuating. Starting over from nothing. I stared at that headline for a long time. 8 years. I apologized first every single time. Not because I was wrong, because she told me that's what men do. Step up. Close the gap. Fix it. But she wasn't asking me to be a man. She was making sure she never had to take responsibility for anything. My boundary wasn't cruelty. It was the first honest thing I'd done in years. 3 months later. New apartment off Thomasville Road. Small, clean mine. Coffee by the window every morning before the sun comes up, watching the light change through the live oaks. Not peaceful quiet, earned quiet. The kind that comes after you stop pretending the noise was music. Tom came over for the FSU game one Saturday. We ate wings and didn't talk about Monica once. He left at halftime because his kid had a recital. Normal stuff. Good stuff. The kind of evening that doesn't need to be anything more than what it is. I ran into Monica at the grocery store in November. She looked different, not broken, just real. No performance, no armor. We stood in the produce section, two people who used to share everything, now 3 feet apart next to the avocados. You look good, she said. I feel good. I'm seeing someone. A therapist, a real one this time. Not Rebecca. That's good, Monica. I mean it. She picked up an avocado, turned it over, put it back. I'm sorry, Larry, for calling your touch exhausting. It wasn't. I was looking for permission to already be gone without having to feel guilty about it. And the easiest way to leave was to make you the problem. I didn't say anything for a moment. The store speakers played something soft. A woman pushed a cart past us without looking up. Thank you for saying that, I said. She nodded, walked away. I stood there with my cart, alone in the produce aisle, and I thought about Sunday pancakes and 5 a.m. runs and a gold ring on a white tablecloth that nobody picked up. She said my touch was exhausting. Turns out it was the last thing holding us together. And the morning I stopped reaching, that's when she finally understood what an empty bed really feels like. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.